Good evening, Crime Crunchies. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am your host, Courtney C., a 27-year veteran of the media, and I am so happy to be able to bring you Crime Crunchies now. Forgive me, I think I have hiccups, and I have volume going on over here. All right, now I can dig in. So, good evening. I hope everybody's having a great day. Thank you again so much for joining me. I may not do a long show or a regular length show tonight. Mr. Crunchy is away and I have duty on baby Crunchy, so I may not be able to go as long as I usually do. But I ran across on X username Shanna. We've looked at her before, and Shanna had posted the documents for Derrick Callella, and I thought, let's read them together. We're going to have story time tonight, okay? So let me share my screen. That is your clue to please subscribe if you have not done so already. I would love it if you could. Let me make myself smaller. I'm going to do that right now. Oh, I'm tiny. All right. So this is from Shanna on X, and it's just 3 pages. I cannot make it any bigger than this. I'm sorry. It's very blurry and pixelated if I do. So I want to make sure to give her credit. I took a screenshot because she had it kind of on a little video reel. So Shanna X on X is who I pulled this from. And let's see if I can make it a tiny bit bigger. So you may not be able to read it, but I shall read it for you and just sit back and follow along. Okay. Alrighty, so, and oh, Alpha Wolf, thank you so much for becoming a member. You are naughty. You know that I want you guys spending money and spoiling yourselves and buying groceries and gas, but thank you so much. I really appreciate you becoming a member. I want to give you a shout out. Crunch, crunch. All right, thank you so much. All right, so in the United States District Court for the District of Arizona, again, this was on July, what date was it? Oh gosh, and like I say every time, it isn't a crime crunchy if I don't have a total brain fart. When did they do this? It was last Thursday, wasn't it? Last Friday? It's last week, guys. Okay, so United States of America, plaintiff versus Derrick Anthony Callella, defendant, magistrate judge's findings and recommendation upon a plea of guilty. And if we all recall, Derrick Callella, he was just testing the waters, guys. He was just texting A and T on their phones after their mother was stolen and murdered, just to see if they'd answer, because isn't that just what you do? And we all know that they're friends. Come on. We all know that they're friends. They know each other. If not friends, acquaintances. They play at the same clubs. They have the same peeps. They have street cred. All right. Very serious. All right. So he'd been found guilty of doing the texting, the bad things with the text, asking for money, wire fraud crap, VoIP thing. And then he, instead of going to a trial, they gave him a plea deal. And we just have to wonder if there isn't something more to this plea deal. And I had predicted but I don't know if it's true or it came to fruition or not, but I predicted that in the court case, the hearing that they had, if we didn't hear a lot, that could be an indication that there's more underneath. Still waters run deep, right? We did not hear a lot. And anything that's coming out of this, the sentencing is in September, like J-Dub had mentioned in the chat. Everything's going to be sealed. And that seems really kind of odd. I mean, is this something that needs to be sealed? All right, let's dig in here. And I do see that some people are thinking that Kalala is not linked to the porch guy. And yeah, and this is a great time for me to just mention, this is another little rabbit hole we've gone down. We're looking at everything. He absolutely may not. It's hard to say, but let's dive into these papers and then we'll just kind of discuss. So, upon defendant's request to enter a plea of guilty pursuant to Rule 11 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, this matter was referred to the magistrate judge by the district court with the written consent of the defendant, counsel of the defendant, and counsel for the United States. Thereafter, the matter came on for a hearing on defendant's plea of guilty to count 1 and count 2, which charges counts 1 and 2, Title 47, United States Code, Section 223A1C, harassment using telecommunications device in full compliance with Rule 11, Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, before the magistrate judge, in upon court and on the record, in open court and on the record. It's a little blurry. Okay. In consideration of that hearing and the allocution made by the defendant under oath on the record and in the presence of counsel, and the remarks of the assistant United States attorney. So he did allocute behind closed doors. Interesting. We did not get that. We don't get any of that. So I find as follows: the defendant is competent to plead. Bloop. The defendant understands his or her right to trial. The defendant understands what the minimum, mandatory, and maximum possible sentence is, including the effect of the supervised release term, and defendant understands that the sentencing guidelines apply and that the court may depart from these guidelines under some circumstances. That the plea of guilty by the defendant has been knowingly and voluntarily made and is not the result of force or threats or of promises apart from the agreement between the parties. That defendant understands the nature of the charge against him or her. That defendant understands that his or her answers may later be used against him or her in a prosecution for perjury or false statement, and that there is a factual basis for the defendant's plea. That the defendant knowingly, intelligently, and voluntarily waived his or her right to appeal or collaterally attack his or her conviction and any sentence imposed if it is within the something permitted by the plea agreement. And further, I recommend that the district court accept the defendant's plea of guilty to count 1 and count 2, which charges counts 1 and 2, Title 47, United States Code, Section 223A1C, harassment using telecommunications device. The parties have 14 days from the date of service of this report and recommendation to file written objections with the district court. It is further ordered request to be prepared any objections to the it's very blurry. The report shall be filed no later than 14 days after receiving the I don't know what that word is, report pursuant to Fed blah, blah, blah. Any response to the objections to the blah, blah report shall be filed no later than 11 days after receiving the objections. All right, last page. Any sentencing, let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Any sentencing memorandum shall be filed no later than 5 business days prior to sentencing. Any party seeking to continue a sentencing date shall file a motion to continue no later than 2 days. Failure to comply with this order may result blah, 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 on the 2nd day of July, Honorable Jacqueline M. Rateau, United States Magistrate Judge. So there's nothing good and nothing juicy in here. Nothing. And it makes me so mad. But I still have to think that this seems like a really chill deal. All right, and let's talk about that again. We've talked about this for the last few nights, but this is a really lax deal. Considering, yes, it was just a telecommunication harassment, if you will, poor taste. Did you send the Bitcoin? We're waiting for it. We're waiting for the transaction. I'm paraphrasing, okay? So somebody asked, were A&T expecting to get a Bitcoin from Savannah? There's nothing to indicate that A&T expected to get a Bitcoin from Savannah. What this tells me, the text from Derrick to A&T asking, did you get the Bitcoin? We're waiting for the transaction, infers that there had been a previous conversation between at least, it looks like A&T, okay, with Derrick. Is the Bitcoin payment that Annie and Tommaso are going to pay Derrick for services rendered? And oh, pray tell, what could those services possibly be? Now, if Annie and Tommaso get the ransom money from the kidnapper, they get millions in Bitcoin and, between 4 and 6 million, depending on the Fingerhut repayment plan. Okay. They were going to have plenty of money to pay Derrick for the Bitcoin. So, it just seems really, really convenient or a coincidence that Annie and Tommaso get this really odd text for a Bitcoin from Derrick Callella after Nancy goes missing. And wouldn't it be really convenient if Nancy is now dead, that everybody gets to split the inheritance 3 ways? Plus, if a ransom is paid by Savannah to get the mother back, who's dead, who's not going to get the mother back, but the ransom has been paid, if Annie and Tommaso are going to get that, they're set. I'm not sure exactly how they were going to hide their newfound windfall of money, which is, if anything, I think that it puts a kink in this theory that we've been talking about, because it would seem, let's go down this road. Let's peel this onion back. All right, let's just say that everything goes to plan. Let's just pretend Porch Guy is hired by Derrick Callella, who is hired by A&T. All right, let's just go down this theory. We're going to peel it back. A&T hired Derrick Callella to go get Porch Guy and to get Nancy out. We're going to just soft kidnap her. We're going to kidnap her. Nothing much is going to happen. We're going to get some money out of Savannah because, again, we've been taking care of Mom. We're broke all the time. Where's our special Louis Vuitton bag? I want my Louis Vuitton. Okay. So let's say Porch Guy gets Nancy, takes Nancy to wherever they're going to keep Nancy, and Nancy's doing great. Nancy's terrified, but Nancy's alive. Okay. So over the weekend, the whole thing goes through where Annie calls Cam and Savannah and says, oh my gosh, Mom's gone. And everyone says she's been kidnapped. And then within 2 days, the first ransom note shows up. Okay. Let's just say the first ransom note shows up. And again, we're pretending. What if the feds had not gotten involved and advised the Guthries to not pay the ransom? There's still no proof of life. Let's just pretend we're going to go on. We don't have proof of life. And let's just say Savannah does pay the ransom. It goes into, it was, I think, Bitcoin as well. I'm not sure if there was a wallet. We'll just pretend that things go to plan. Savannah pays the Bitcoin. She pays, let's say she pays 4 million on Friday. She's up on the Finger Hut payment plan. She's not even waiting till Monday. She's got the discount. Okay. She's got the QVC discount. She's going to do it Friday early. She's going to pay 4 million. She's not going to pay 6 million on Monday. She's saving 2 million. Everything's beautiful. So she pays 4 million on Friday. It goes to a Bitcoin account somewhere. Okay. And then let's just pretend that Nancy gets dropped off at that Bash's grocery store near her home. And they've just put her at the front and they just drive off. All right. We're not even going to go very deep. This is all just scenario we're just talking through. So let's say Nancy's dropped off. Nancy's alive. Oh my God, mom is back. Everybody goes and gets Nancy. Oh, mom. Oh my God, this was so scary. They go back, they do security. Let's talk about mom moving in with Annie Tommaso. This is terrifying. We could never have this happen ever again. Everybody goes on with their life. Savannah goes to the Olympics. Let's just go down like sliding doors. If you guys saw that movie, Sliding Doors. So this girl missed a sliding door on a subway and her life turned out one entire way. But during the movie, they also showed her getting the subway and how her life turned out completely different. So we're going to do sliding doors. So tonight we're going to look at the ransom was paid. Nancy is floated back to her home and her little snuggly footy jammies, and she's put in bed and she's given hot cocoa and everything's wonderful. Okay, we're getting plans. Savannah's off to Italy. Everything's great. So Derrick Callella gets his Bitcoin because, hey, he helped us out. All right. Helped us out. Derrick, you got it, bud. Here's your Bitcoin. Take this, Derrick, and go take care of your embezzlement BS in California. Bye, bud. We'll see you the next time we have satanic bands playing at Club Congress with DJ Mojito. Okay. We'll see you then. Satan. Okay. That's probably what they would do with like bracelets and chains. Satan. Okay. So there's that. So all of a sudden, Annie Tommaso, what? You guys are going on vacation? What do you mean you're going on vacation? Oh, that's cool. Okay. That's unplanned. Okay, cool. Hey, Cam, did you notice that Annie and Tommaso, yeah, they traded in their car. They got like this nicer car. Isn't that weird? And all of a sudden, yeah, Annie's got some new clothes. I mean, do you think that, I'm just not going to go down the whole thing, but don't you think that somebody's going to notice that they got money? It isn't a secret if they just come into millions of dollars, okay, suddenly, all right? It's like, you guys see that meme where, if I win the lottery, there will be signs, and it's somebody who's flying away on a private jet or something. So yeah, if they got the ransom from Savannah, there will be signs, okay? There's going to be signs that they got this money. So I almost have to say that that's kind of a wrench in this theory. I mean, let me know what you guys think, because if this plan had gone to fruition, okay, the only thing that they've left undone at this point is they aren't getting their inheritance because Nancy's alive. They're not getting a third of the inheritance, but you know what? It's nice to just kind of sock that away. All right. The only downside is they still have to take care of Nancy. And honestly, you can spend $4 million pretty quick. I don't know if they're going to just, rip it out because they don't want to be too flashy, but, I don't know. I just have to think that maybe they'd move to Italy. Maybe all of a sudden they'd get up and say, yeah, you know what? Maybe, because here's another whole crazy idea. If they were really getting burnt out on taking care of Nancy as part of some resentment, they also could have said, hey guys, maybe you can take a turn, Cam. Maybe we can have mom spend the summer with you. That's what my sister and I did. I had been taking care of mom for a few years, and man, I was getting really burnt out. I mean, I'm just being honest. I certainly don't get any awards because I mean, it was very difficult, and I'm a patient person, but I lost patience with her a lot when I work at home and the interruptions and just the everything, okay? And there was a point where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not taking care of myself anymore." Okay? I wasn't taking care of myself, and I was going, cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. So, we devised a plan and we started sharing custody of mom, and then it got better. But could Annie have asked for help? Had others asked her, hey, do you want us to take a turn with mom? Because we were assuming that Annie got stuck taking care of Nancy, but who knows, maybe she never shared with anyone. Some people stuff their emotions under and then they explode. Okay. Was she an emotion stuffer? Was she an emotion stuffer? And she, when, like I said, did she explode? Because people who stuff, there's going to come a time when there's a breaking point. Okay. And especially with the resentment, I think Annie's the oldest. I think she's the oldest. I think she's the oldest, and then Cam, and then Savannah. So, when we look at the dentist case in Ohio, she had been divorced from her husband, the surgeon, for almost 10 years. And, I don't know if there were signs or if he'd been reaching out to her, but all of a sudden he shows up and just blows her and her husband away. And it's just so odd. Could this be a lot like that? The resentment has been there and just simmering under the surface and simmering under the surface. And then Derrick Callella, okay, with this deal that, let's talk a little bit about the deal. We've done it for the last few days, but let's just go over it again. Considering this guy has a criminal case ongoing in California for embezzling $10,000 of unemployment funds in California that isn't finished, and he's still going through that. When he was arrested and extradited to Arizona for the Nancy Guthrie case, okay, they gave him a bond deal. They released him, but there were conditions. And apparently part of those conditions were, drug testing and things like that. And he even came to court on the 2nd where his defense attorney, wow, it was weird. Isn't that weird how the defense attorney waited until almost the entire end of the hearing before he mentioned, oh, hey guys, by the way, you might notice that if you go through the lab paperwork later on, that my client made a boo-boo, and someone made him use meth. Sorry. So he broke his bond, his bail. He broke his bail. And after all this, it seems like a pretty serious crime. And maybe, and I have to ask, does it seem like a more serious crime only because it's Savannah Guthrie's mother? Or would this be a super serious crime if it was just somebody else? Or would it be not that big of a deal that he gets 5 years of probation? Okay. And if he's supposed to do clean drug screens, is he going to break probation, during the 5 years? He could, but what are they going to do? He barely got a slap on the wrist. You would think that they could have revoked all of this and taken this deal back. So I have to wonder, You know, is he valuable? Is Derrick Callella valuable to the prosecution that they gave him a sweetheart deal considering what has happened? Is he valuable to prosecution because they just kind of overlooked that he came in high on meth? And if he is valuable, what value does he have? What info does he have? Because they say, we've heard it a million times now, there's no honor amongst thieves. I'm pretty sure if I'm Derrick Callella and I've got this whole story and scenario going on, I'm freaking singing like a canary. Anything I can do to stay out of jail. I guess they did send him right to rehab. So, I mean, and honestly, that is the best place for him. I mean, jail is not going to help him if he has a drug problem. So I do want to stress that I hope he gets help. I really do. I have, if he has a drug problem, I genuinely do want him to get sober and stay sober, absolutely, in the best way. So I'm glad he's in rehab. I hope he does do well. Rehab equals witness protection. That's actually a pretty good point, Mystery Diva. Yeah, and that's a good point. What would have happened if beds weren't available? Isn't that amazing how we've probably all had some people in our family that have had some addiction problems. So we all know that, especially, Tucson and Phoenix, they've got a huge drug problem from the border. And yeah, there aren't always beds available in rehab. That's a really good point. So I don't know. Seems pretty slick to me. So, what does he have? And if this case is not serious enough that he needed to do jail time and they gave him probation and sent him to rehab, he didn't do jail time. They did a plea deal. So there wasn't going to be a trial. A&T do not have to, they don't have to testify. Then if it's not that serious, then why are all the records going to be sealed when this is done? If it's not that serious, there's no jail time, why is this going to be sealed? So I don't know. Is there nothing there? Maybe. Do they typically seal these types of cases? That might be something that I look into. Actually, let me write that down. Let me see if they seal harassment telecommunications. Let me see. And that's exactly what I'm getting at. I'm kind of being sarcastic, Mystery Diva, but yeah, I think it's obviously because he's got some information. And, even though I have to say that the wrench, when we think about if the plan had gone off the way it was meant to be, and I don't know if they wanted Nancy to come back from this. They could have really just wanted to do her in, get her out of the way, for the inheritance too. Okay, so we don't know if they wanted Nancy to come back. And actually, that's a little irrelevant anyway. However, let me think about this. If Nancy came back and was alive, and Savannah had paid the ransom in the scenario I just gave earlier, okay? So in the scenario I just gave in pretend land, where they keep Nancy alive, Savannah isn't intercepted by the feds and pays the $4 million ransom on that Friday. Derrick Callella gets paid his Bitcoin. A&T have $4 million in the bank. Nancy goes back to her house. There's more chance that A&T are going to, it's going to become apparent that they've had a windfall somewhere because they've got money now to spend. Okay. People are going to see them buying things and doing things that they could absolutely have never done before. Okay. That's going to be very, like I said, if I win the lottery, there will be signs. So if A&T got that money, there will be signs. But if the entire plan hinged on Nancy never making it back from the kidnapping, everybody gets a third of the inheritance, there's honestly not that much, microscope going to be on A&T if there are signs that they have money, because everyone's going to get a little money. Okay, if the house is worth $1 million, that's $333,000 each from just the house. We don't know if there's bank accounts or portfolio. So, I mean, there will be signs. There would be signs if A&T got their inheritance. It just wouldn't be as big as if they had gotten a $4 million windfall. Does that make sense? So honestly, if we're really thinking about this, if they, and again, speculation, no one's being accused of anything. I'm just going down pretend land, okay? It seems more feasible that Nancy probably had no chance of coming back, because they would have needed to have that inheritance in order to cover up any spending, new items, newfound trips, happiness, hairdos, bouffant dues, blue suede shoes. They probably needed to have that inheritance happen in order to cover up the signs that they got money. So I would have to say that if A&T did this, what I just went through, I think that they intended her to die. She had to go, and that was the only way they were going to cover up getting that ransom money. And actually, I mean, it's kind of brilliant, because they get money out of Savannah. They get their $4 million out of Savannah. They've ruined her Italy trip. They got rid of mom. Mom's gone. We're going to liquidate all her crap. We're going to get probably easily at least maybe $400,000, $500,000 for mom, plus the $4 million from Savannah. And that's if she paid it on Friday. If she waited till Monday, they probably were hoping she'd pay it on Monday to get the $6 million. Now imagine their surprise when something they didn't plan on is the feds telling Savannah, don't pay the ransom. That's a bad day. That's where the plan goes right into the pooper. The plan just went down the pooper, and those little tears, I just had my mother knocked off for nothing. I might get an inheritance, but now it's going to take years to prove that she's even gone. And there's a $1.2 million reward, but who can go claim it now? Is Derrick Callella going to go claim it? They're not going to pay him. If he is part of the whole scheme, they're not going to give it to him. So, I hadn't really gone down this path of, actually, I was really just looking to go through the paperwork, but now it's like, going through this whole scenario of how would things have looked had the plan gone off how they intended it to, actually has shown me that if this is the real plan, what we all just talked about, Nancy was doomed. Nancy was screwed. Nancy had to be gone in order for this plan to work. She had to be gone. There's no way they could have hidden a $4 million windfall from their brother and sister. I mean, that's a big difference because they're probably, I mean, imagine going from selling jewelry and doing poetry at a nonprofit and your husband making $53,000, maybe $60,000 a year as a school teacher, to then I mean, you don't have much money left. That's why I say, don't do super chats. Go buy some freaking groceries. You see the price of gas? Please. $60,000 a year. It's tough. And that's more than a lot of people make. People are doing as much with less. And you're right. They could move to Italy. Well, and it's funny, in Lord of the Rings, where Smeagol, who looked like a normal person, turns into a little monster after jumping into a lake to catch the golden ring. And that is exactly what Dr. Mercado says, that whoever this is, this person could come across as very, very normal, very likable, could even be sociable, but on the inside, they're seething. Seething. So if, I'm going back to Derrick Callella again, it looks, and I have to give Monk's intrigue. We were watching Monk's intrigue on last Friday night together. We were having a watch party, eating popcorn and, prank calling people together. We were doing all that stuff, ding dong ditch 'em during our watch party. He's the one who, I mean, when he stated that the text from Derrick looked like a payment arrangement, that literally blew my mind. And I'm like, oh crap, that's exactly what that text looks like. That is exactly. Yeah, and we'll do Monks again. He just released something, and I don't want to do Monks every time, but I do like having watch parties with you guys, and he's a good one. Very, very, very clever. And yeah, power does corrupt. Money makes people do bad, bad things. I don't know. That's a very good question. What brought Tommaso to America in the first place? How did he and Annie meet? I don't know. But I know they have a little boy. I think that he's, not a toddler or anything. He might be, I don't know, 10, 15 or 10, 12, 13, something like that. Young man. I don't know. That's a good question. That'd be very interesting to see. $14. Yeah, and I know Monk's just put out a new video tonight, and honestly, if I had a little bit more freedom, I would have no problem playing it. We could have a watch party, maybe Thursday night. If there's another one that comes out, we can do a watch party. I'll have a little bit more freedom on Thursday night. And there's also a deposition that I came across for Sheriff Nanos, his deposition that he did last December. We've got the paperwork for that, and I will go through that with everybody. Maybe tomorrow. I'll see how it's going. Probably maybe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Thursday or Friday. Either way, we'll cover it. We'll just kind of see what nutty answers Word Salad Man gives. Yeah, so I think that this was actually very, very interesting, very, very illuminating to think about the fact that that I believe strongly if A&T hatched this, that it more than likely Nancy was doomed. And that really sucks. And, we don't know what the dynamic is. We were talking about Church Lady yesterday. And I mean, I give Church Lady a lot of grace. We don't know what any dynamic is on any of these people. We don't know, somebody had commented, Church Lady, if she's older, she could be scared. And she could be scared of tea. We don't know what people see. We don't know what people hear. We don't know what people share. We don't know if people are nosy, if they're not nosy. Some people, again, stuff their feelings and don't share everything. Some people have no problem and are an open book. We do not know what anybody's dynamic is with each other. Even Savannah and her sister, the brother, none of them. We don't know what Annie's dynamic is with Tommaso. We don't know how Nancy was with Tommaso, which is, to me, one of the most important things. How was Nancy with Annie? How was Nancy with Church Lady? Was there, had they gotten into a fight over mahjong? Someone cheated at mahjong? And I mean, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but girlfriends, they get pissed at each other all the time over stupid stuff. We don't know. This chick could have maybe heard all the drama of what's going on in that family that we have no idea. And she may just be so sick of hearing it and wants nothing to do with it. She probably wants to be left alone. Somebody probably asked her to please not repeat anything. Please do the family a favor. She could be afraid. I'd be afraid of Porch Guy. I'm telling you that right now. Those neighbors, if I had somebody walking around and stole one of my neighbors, I'd be freaking terrified. Oh, I would have cameras. There's somebody, I watched a YouTube, I can't credit it, but there was somebody who, I think she might have been law enforcement, and she was talking about the best positioning of those type of cameras. Even though it's good to have one on your doorbell, it's really good to have one on either side of your driveway and have them faced out so that as cars go by, it catches license plates. So if she had had two cameras down on either side of that circular driveway and they were facing out, it would have caught any car. And so if you are thinking about adding cameras, that's actually something that would be, really useful, is to really get that license plate and put cameras anywhere you need to catch cars coming and going. I don't think Porch Guy was Annie, unless Annie has a soul patch and really thick eyebrows. But there are a lot of people who have thought Porch Guy was a woman. And what the heck do I know? Yeah, there weren't any boobies. I didn't see boobies either. And I just have to, I also was thinking the other day, I have to mention, when I see your comment here, how stingy Savannah has been with this case of her own mother. The Instagram posts have stopped. Let me look. I'm not going to pull it up for you guys, but I had heard somewhere that she had deleted those messages on Instagram, but somebody had mentioned that they thought it was odd that she's no longer talking to the kidnapper. She's not addressing the kidnapper. Let's see. I'm going through her. Just talk amongst yourselves. I'm going through her Instagram and seeing if she removed the messages. And of course, nope, they're still there. They're all still there. So again, we have to be very careful what we hear. Wow, Millie, you live near there. I was there May 4th. I went in that area. That's crazy. You'd have to be nervous. I would be really afraid. So, and let's talk about this. Savannah is not talking to the kidnapper anymore. According to Sheriff Bananos, the kidnapper is still out there and could strike again. And I mean, Annie has never once, other than that one message that she read, the poetry to the kidnapper, Annie has never once addressed the kidnapper. Cam did one time. It just, I mean, I guess Savannah said that there isn't a day goes by that they're not looking for their mother. I'm just not feeling it. And I'm not judging. They're victims. Either way, they're all this is horrible. Okay. Victim. And I prop up any victim. I know I'm not the only one. So I feel guilty saying it, but I know I'm not the only one. And everybody has all felt the same way. Where has their outreach been? Other than Instagram videos asking and pleas for help, there just hasn't been any. No one's talking to the kidnapper. There are no signs in the community. Chris McDonough felt like it's like they're specifically trying to make it go away. No, Boogaloo, what is this? Do you have Boogaloo? Can you comment? I have to get off here pretty soon. I can't stay on too much longer. But can you email crimecrunchies@gmail.com? Yeah, they'd have to move to Italy to not have eyeballs on them, for sure. I mean, honestly, like the Ramseys, if they're completely innocent of this, which absolutely they absolutely could, their lives are ruined. If they are innocent of this, there's no doubt that people are going to still have eyes on them regardless. So what does it mean to be swatted? So swatting started when these kids that do the live streaming with the video games, they're on live and they're playing video games, and people, as either pranks or to get back at them, would call in like some sort of a threat to 911, and basically the SWAT team, while the guy's live playing video games, you see the SWAT team break into the house, break into the room, and arrest them with the cameras going. And so it turned into a really big thing where people were just swatting each other out of revenge or retaliation, or just being nasty to each other. And so getting swatted is an actual thing now. So why would he want A&T swatted? That's interesting. Boogaloo, can you share, can you find where you saw that? Because that's very interesting. And Millie K, I hope that you feel safe. You should not ever have to live in fear. And I don't blame you. I would be fearful, because until this guy is caught, we don't know who it is. All right? We don't know who it is. It could be some nut job that is obsessed with Savannah. It could be a wrench attack, just wanting Bitcoin and by proxy going after Nancy to get Savannah's money. It could be A&T. I mean, those are the three. It could be a South American theft group. Okay. We've looked at all of these groups. We've looked at all four theories in equal We've looked at the MG Motors guy. We've looked at Zach. I mean, we're going through everything. Very dark in your neighborhood. Well, I don't know there because it was federal court, so I didn't think that there were cameras in court with the feds. I'll have to do a search and see if anybody did hear what he said, because apparently Derrick Callella, according to those documents, he did his you know what Brian Koberger did. He did his allocution. That's a fancy court word. Again, allocution. Who had that on their bingo card? Not I. So he did an allocution to both counsels, defense and prosecution, under oath behind closed doors. So it's going to be sealed. We may not know what he allocated. But if he wanted, let's, for just 5 minutes, if we're Derrick Callella, we get hired for $60,000, the approximate amount of a Bitcoin, to get involved with this all these hijinks. And he hires Porch Guy, or he is Porch Guy. He hires whatever. He's involved. He's going to get 60 grand for these hijinks. He's screwed. You don't think he's going to freaking tell all? He's probably going to write a memoir of what he knows. And if he did say he would love for them to get swatted, he probably really regrets getting involved with them, and probably he wants his own revenge now. Yep, no one's been caught. Freaking bananos. Freaking bananos. Yeah, next time we'll go through his deposition, and we'll get to see what an idiot he is. That's going to be a tough one. I almost feel like, why waste my breath? Why waste everybody's evening reading his deposition about his lying and his perjury and the way he got hired? Thank you, Boogaloo. And thank you. I've seen so many of your comments, you guys, you know, in the replays, when your replay crew. Thank you so much for commenting. I appreciate it so much. All right. Well, I'm going to go. Actually, I made it longer than I thought I was actually going to make it from Crunchy Baby. Let me go long. It's not a baby. He's 10, but he needs attention. So I'm going to go, and we will get together again. And I apologize ahead of time if we go over Sheriff Nanos' deposition. I'm sorry. It's one of those things. Ugh. But I feel like we have to do it. And I know it's just one of those things. It's like, ugh. It's like plunging the toilet. I get it. Ugh. But we just might do it and just get it done and then move on, right? We'll get the dirty deed done. We'll go through all his stupid crap that he says. So thank you, everybody. Big crunchy hugs out to everybody. I love you all. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I will catch you on the flip side. Toodle.